So we just go live with it. That's it. That's all we can do. And as you can tell by the title, I called it The Psychiatrist versus the Psychologist in the metaphysical psychic realm. I mean, for a real hip hopper, that's self-explanatory, right? I guess, you know. Let's try that again. The psychic, no. The psychiatrist. Yeah, we got to go to the psychiatrist versus the psychologist in the metaphysical psychic realm. and like the apologizer, like, well, that's me. I'm the apologizer for the what's his name, the Pan-Africanist Umar Johnson. We from Philadelphia. We apologize for our brother, but you know, we all in this economic system together, and we trying to get paid so that we can have a great future with our children. So one more time, right? Speaking of quote unquote psychologists, right? The psychiatrist versus the psychologist in the metaphysical psychic realm. There it is. Welcome to Real Hip Hop. This is Volo, Daddy Volo Than Modulus Tautology. Here to bring some real ill flows to you. You know, the game on the screen is Ogre Battle. I'm just gonna have it running in the background. Y'all know how I do. I would play the game and rap at the same time, but that's not really what I'm into. I really just, you know what I mean, like those type of videos is when I wish my son was here so we can play the game together. I'll have him play it, and then I'll give him, you know, the mathematical lessons, you know, subliminally, you know what I mean, and he'll carry that on to his life, and there it is. That's the father-son relationship, you know. And you know, I love sharing that with y'all. You know, Volo's on the solo tip, but you know, right now, but I might have him here for a couple recordings real soon. I might as I'm setting this up, and you know, I have to take my time because my eyesight's still not 20%, but it took me a while to get this up and running to load on. I was just watching Tim Black. So that's what I'd rather do. I just rather watch the other black media people do their thing, and like that's what I normally do with these type videos. I'll do just a second of gameplay or whatever, and then I'll share their video, and then I'll, you know, comment on top of it, you know. But I was watching Tim Black, and you know, it is getting kind of corny because, you know, I don't believe in monetizing the haters, you know, like that's the game, you know. Everybody they monetize the haters to get monetized, and I'm not into that, yo. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's looking for beef, you know. I don't want beef with nobody. I'm just chill. I'm a chill dude. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, I talk about the adventures that I had when I went to you know, elementary school to middle, you know, to high school, and then in college, you know. Volo Thamp already talked about that path that I took in achieving a higher degree, you know, and my degree is in pure mathematics, which is rare. Like, you know, people really don't get a degree in abstract math. Like, why would you do that? Like, you know what I mean? But it technically I had they wanted me to take a fourth Spanish and conversational Spanish class, and I was like, man, I'm not taking any more Spanish. I wasn't, I was, so I tried a little bit of French. I tried a little bit of German. I think that gave me enough to, certify myself as a pure mathematician, abstract mathematician. But how the bureaucracy is you're still 3 credits short, so you never really whatever they want to say. But I do officially, I have a diploma and everything for a Bachelor of Science in Bachelor of Science of mathematics and actuarial science. Like I am an actuary scientist. So when it comes to understanding statistical data, I'm your guy, you know what I mean? And that's where I get a little frustrated, because as I teach my son, well, he's really not in, he's doing a little bit of statistics and everything. Like, I mean, we talked about the mean, median, and mode and things of that nature. And I like to share the videos. Shout out to Kill Parker. I like to share videos from other mathematicians when because they're, Akil is doing elementary school kind of mathematics. My son is in high school now, and they're already prepping him for calculus tomorrow. So like once you do that, it's all type of going from the physical realm to the quantum level type understanding, like, and that's where people get a little hypocritical in their analysis of things, like, and especially when it's like, that's why we pick on the psychologist in this the psychology in general. Like, I've been facetiously calling it psychologic, because if you give it to the wrong person, that person that doesn't that doesn't understand logic, they go all over the place, and it's like, yo, dude, no, you can't do that, yo. Like, what I'm saying? It's either a contradiction or tautology. All that indeterminate is it's fun, what I mean? But it's not argument. It's really not even debate. It's reasoning to a point, but in order to put that ... QED on it, you have to be tautologically sound in your understanding of the epistemology. And it's like, well, using these words there that's really not in mathematical text, like in a calculus text, you won't see epistemology, what I mean? But you would see it in an abstract logic or mathematical, logic book, what I mean? And I wrote one, so I'm promoting that. Hit me on my what's the name comment section. I can put you down with the book. I'm really on my book. Is like, nah, I'm my own publisher, right? I don't listen, like, I get it. And the same with my music, like, what I mean, as I'm getting back into doing my own music, as I'm getting back to doing my own art, what I mean? Yeah, I'm sharing it to YouTube. That's why I just jumped on real quick. Go live for a second. Make sure that this is running the video on Ogre Battle. Ogre Battle is the game that I'm playing, actually the original game. I talked about this game a little bit. This is part 2 to that game, and the differences between the two, and there's a 3rd and 4th game. And then Final Fantasy Tactics was created by the same people that created this, and that's where Enix and Square as companies came together. Like, it used to be Squaresoft and Enix. They used to be rivals, and they converged, they merged, they came together in solidarity and made a new company called Square Enix. So that's why Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy, they used to be rivals, but now they're the same. It's the same company. And Nintendo and Sega kind of did the same thing, but it's not real. Like, what I mean? Like, they're still like, Sonic and Mario is kind of rivals still, but they not, um, Sony, I mean, Sega's strictly software now. Nintendo is, software and hardware. They still doing it kind of like Apple is doing. They kind of mimic their business model after Apple, because Apple does their own hardware and software as one unit. Like, what I mean? And people start to try to argue that doing it that way is making a monopoly. So the government tries to create antitrust laws to go against Nintendo and Apple, for example. They kind of do it with Google, because Google does do a little bit, does hardware too, but they was originally just a software company. Microsoft was just originally a software company, but they entered the hardware company because it is lucrative, and it's fun to compete. So I never got an Xbox, because I'm a PC gamer. Like I'm pretty much one of the types that'll build my own, quote unquote, build my own Xbox. And I've tried to coach my sons. Well, shout out to DJ and Wabi. My nephew and my little brother, by law, right? Well, we'll figure all that out too, right? Like, and it's like, whose law? You know what I mean? And that therein it circles right back to when I first found the art of logical thinking, or the law of reasoning, as a book, right? That's the title of the book. The author I have to look up, and because I love giving credit, because hey, you wrote the book, like, what I mean. I really didn't read it yet, what I mean. I'll skim through it a little bit, but the title, right, is like they say, don't never judge a book by its title. I was like, the title is the excluded middle that people are confused about. Like, it is the to be or not to be that is confusing everybody in the world. But when I see other people, hip hoppers that get it, Bones Malone comes to mind, because Bones Malone said it's not to be or not to be, it's ready or not. And I was like, right? And that's basically a Lauryn Hill and Fuji song, ready or not. Like, yeah, there it is in a nutshell, right? But that's how the real knowledge, it becomes wisdom, and it's through understanding. Like those are the three colors. Like that, and therein is where I interject the color theory. Like, what is color theory? Like game theory, we can. There are a million books written about game theory, right? I wrote a book on game theory, right? Not that I would have to share with you to, we can grow the understanding together as, scholars. I mean, I'm not, I mean, yes, my son is my first student. Like, I'm the teacher, he's the student. I mean, that's the father-son relationship, right? So it's and daughter, I mean, and mother-daughter, I mean, like it's sad that I have to say it that way, because of all of the gender euphoria going on, created by this false narrative, false concept, false ideology that is the LGBTQIA plus DEI PDF files, right? And I have to say it like that because it's an algorithm that the billionaires, the trillionaires, right? They fund that to say that's a real community, but it's not a real community. Like, yeah, back in the 60s we had hip hop then, and that was in the form of the civil rights movement. My parents, the foundational Black Americans, was marching for civil rights for self, and gays and lesbians came on, helped them out. Italians helped them out. The different groups, other immigrants and you know what I mean, that were able to get into the into the country at that point, piggybacked off of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton, right? See what I'm saying? Like Bobby Seale, you know what I mean? You can't forget the Panthers. And shout out to Bobby Seale. I'll be doing a Bobby Seale's check every, once a week or whatever. Because Bobby's getting up there, you know what I mean? It's the same with my parents. They're getting up there. So it's like I gotta check on them every day. Like, hey, you good? All right, cool. And then move on. And it's corny for them to be concerned about me because of all the medical issues that I'm going through, all the legal issues that I'm going through, because of all the chaos that the Bidenomics created. And I call it the Bidenomics because when he opened up that border like that, and then for them to be like, well, we didn't really open it like that, and to now want to lie about it, it's like, yo, y'all done, Joe. It doesn't like, Trump he's trying to take over the world. It's like, all right, that's what Biden was trying to do. Like Biden was trying to let America die. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Biden, he just went, when he opened them borders, he let all those illegals in here, and now I saw the chaos. I saw, friends just poof, 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 because of the economic reasons. I lost my job, or I got to work extra hard at my job because they threatening me every day because they're going to replace me with an immigrant. You know what I'm saying? And and I'm talking about not just FBA friends. I'm talking about my Ricans, my Dominicans, my, you know what I'm saying? Like, and my white friends. I got a lot of white friends. But my bond with them, right? It's only a few that I can bond with like that. And it's like a reverse token kind of a thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, as an FBA, it's like, I want to unite with my family, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yes, I do have white aunties, you know what I mean? And it's like, that's still my family. Rest in peace to Sue, right? My auntie. On my mother's side, like I and some that I really didn't get a chance to know like that because of family living in all different parts of the map and world. You know what I mean? I have a beautiful cousin, Melissa. Shout out to Melissa. McDowell. Melissa's from, she's German. She's from Germany. You know what I mean? Her pop is one of the coolest. You know what I mean? I gotta, it's been a while since I shook his hand and gave him a hug. You know what I mean? And because he's lived on a military, he's been in the military ever since. Like, and but as his daughter, I do consider Mrs. Melissa a FBA. Even though she's a German American. But, the military base is American land, I guess, you know what I'm saying? That we can look at it that way. But yeah, she's FBA, you know what I'm saying? But therein the problem is the color. Like everybody has an issue saying because FBA is being translated into foundational Black American. They have a problem with Black, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, stop, you know what I mean? Just because you've seen Malcolm X and the movie, and he looked up Black in the dictionary and seen all this negative, derogatory things. Then he looked at white and he's seen all of these positive, purity is with the concept that we want to, say, because I don't have a problem with white being purity, but start to respect Black being eternal. That's what we as hip hoppers is trying to convey, right? Like y'all say y'all down with the culture, but you probably didn't read the gospel of hip hop, right? So you ain't really down with the culture, right? You didn't read Sweat the Technique, so you don't know nothing about the gods and the earth, right? What's the other book that I push? Oh, Wu-Tang. Oh yeah, yes. I can't forget the Tower of Wu-Tang. Like, now you're really talking about the gods and the earth. and how it became how we became an Islamic Christian faith. You know, could I call it a religion? Listen, I don't have a problem with the terminology religion. Right? Obviously, you have a problem with the terminology religion. You have a problem with the terminology of a cult. You have a problem with the terminology of politics. All three are different colors. Just like the Hebrew, the Jew, and the Gentile. The Hebrew, Jew, and the Gentile are three different colors. Y'all just not willing to understand that. Now, mathematically, on an abstract level, when you have three primary colors, are you starting to see where I'm going with this? Like blue, red, green. What order did they put them in? I know the red RBG is red, black, and green, but red, green, and blue. I guess they try to change it up so that the acronym is his own acronym, right? The order of the letters is the acronym that we want to. So, but the primary colors, the three primary colors: red, green, and blue, right? RGB, yeah, RBG, yeah, RGB. Let's say it like that. I'll look it up at the exact thing or whatever later on. And then it's just therein I'm having the same issue with the three colors of waste, fraud, and abuse, right? Because I for the longest time was calling it fraud, waste, and abuse, but now it's waste, fraud, and abuse is the order. Fraud is supposed to be second. Like, first, you're supposed to stop the waste. If you're stopping the waste, the fraud shouldn't happen, kind of a thing. Like, order is important, but also naming the colors. So if you have the three primary colors, red, green, and blue, right, and you're using white light, you have to have a canvas, and that's black darkness. That's the universe. Now I can draw that as a Venn diagram and show the three colors, the three primary colors, as independent sets or subsets of light within white, within black. And it'll be tautologically correct when analyzing the epistemology. That's the science, technology, and engineering and mathematics of life. So, not here to argue with y'all. I don't even debate. I'm trying to help with the understanding of the law of reasoning. That's why I go straight. 10 Commandments, number 1, be trustworthy. And it's like, that's not the first commandment. You're right. That's the first scout law when teaching the boys, how to be a good scout. Be trustworthy. No. The first commandment that the Messiah gave us is love God. Love God with all of your being. Now, they gave it to Moses. The second one is respect the Lord. And they disrespected Moses like... They disrespected Moses. Like, Moses, you a killer too. You know what I'm saying? I feel for Moses. You know what I'm saying? I give respect to Moses. And hey, he's the descendant of Abraham, so I can imagine how they treated Abraham back in the day. Some of the stories I've been reading, he go to a town with his wife, and they like, what's up? Like, yo, that's my wife, yo. Right? I remember the story. It's on some, like, like Abraham. He wasn't even Abraham then. He was just Abram or something like that, right? I love rereading the Bible and from refamiliarizing myself with the ancient stories. And long story short is, dude was about to touch his wife, and God got involved. Like, no, that's his wife, yo. What are you doing? Right? Like, I will strike you down right now. It's like, dude, you got that much power. God loves you that much, kind of a thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm ad-libbing about a lot. I can open up the book to that verse and we can read it and study it together. But yeah, I do that with my pastors. And shout out to them. Shout out to my big brother, my god brother, my cousin, my two cousins. Those are my three. And Buster. I don't, I still call them by my childhood names, Buster, Black, and Greg. Shout out to them three, because whenever they open that book up, all I do is I bow my head and I listen. Right? I don't debate them. You know what I mean? I might, reason, love God, respect, Lord, seek wisdom. You know what I mean? Honor my mother and father, right? Yes, I keep the Sabbath day. Sabbath-door. I don't go to the clubs anymore. I just pray, right? I might play a video game, but you know what I mean? Hopefully I get back to being able to see, and then I promise myself until I get my eyesight right, then a little bit of red wine or something with some cheese, there it is, right? So, but I just came on here to drop some thoughts on y'all, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to just keep adding content. Water Guy wasn't on tonight, so I just figured I'd just jump on real quick. Hopefully this comes out how I want it. And I was just, like I was saying, I was just watching Tim Black, and it's like, I love Tim Black's show, but all Tim Black can do is, hey, here's Mark Lamont Hill. Say, yo, man, he's not invited to the cookout. Yo, stop mentioning him. Here's today was the baby, and it's like, who? Right? Like, I don't even have beef with what's his name? Who the bleep is Nick Cannon? Yeah. I gotta say it like that because that was like one of the funniest Dave Chappelle skits, like, you know what I mean? Because Nick Cannon was a young punk when he first came out, on the drum line. I gotta go back and see some of those movies, But Nick Cannon is She Hate Me, which is a Spike Lee movie, where, the main protagonist, the main character had a whole bunch of L's, the leaders of the LGBT, like the quote unquote leaders of that movement. He had a whole bunch of them and made them all his baby mamas. So he had something like 50 baby mamas or something like that. And it was the moral of the story is like, that is ethically wrong. But all those children have to get to know their father. They have to know who their father is. They have to know who the father is. You know what I'm saying? He can't afford all those children. And but they're the new community, and they got that cash right now. So yeah, the LGBT, yes, the lesbians got some cash, but that G and then the B is when you're dealing with one guy and two girls, or one girl and two guys, and now you're talking about poly marriages. You know what I mean? And they never work because you're going to have one is going to be over the other, right? You're going to have a Cain and Abel situation, right? A man with two eyes, you're going to have a Cain and Abel, or so Kitty. We got to come up with female names, right? Kitty and Misha or something. I don't know. But there it is. And then like I said, I'm I'm trying to keep these ideas PG-14 because my son is only, he's only 14. And son, I know you'll see two of them together, and it's like, Daddy, both of them. Hey, listen, son, no, one at a time. Wait till they break up. Wait, the one that whatever, you know what I'm saying? You'll catch her on the solo one. But listen, we're gonna watch some Harry Potter, and you'll see how Harry Potter kind of did it. Like when him and Ryan, what was that? Oh, that was a Goblet of Fire when they was trying to find dates at the for the dance or whatever. He's like, they're all hanging together. How can we? You know what I'm saying? And then Harry finally got with the two straight Asian Indian ladies, the dark skinned Asian lady. It was beautiful too, right? And I say that, and then it's like, say, I should do that, and that's where the extreme is wrong, yo, right? Because if I'm the manager of the store, the left, the Democrats, the liberals gave my supervisor enough power to go, I don't like the way Volo talked to me just now. I'm gonna go tell the district man, the manager above him, that he screamed at me, that he looked at me in a sexual sense, and it was talking bad about my daughter or something, whatever, right? And I'm not saying, right, her name was Desiree. I'm not saying Desiree that was her intent and that's what she did, right? Because this was my first store when I first became a manager way back in before the turn of the century, right? 1998 or 99 or whatever year it was. I was seeing another supervisor at another store, you know what I'm saying, and that's Michelle, and we'll talk. I don't kiss and tell, like that's not my thing. But I used to have Michelle come and help me clean the store up, and she was real helpful in doing that. And I think Desiree felt a certain way about that, especially because I had a assistant manager, Phil. Shout out to Phil. Phil was cool too. But Phil was messing with one of the other cashiers, and it's like, Phil, yo, can't do that, yo. Like, but it's like you mess with her, and it's like, but I'm not in her store anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I mean? And now I'm trying to we are trying to fix this store, rebuild this store. You know what I mean? We just had a tragic situation where the manager ran into a pole. You know what I mean? And we don't know the whole stories and all that, but the foundational Black American structure, family structure, was on a very unstable ground at that time, and it is. We seeing the results of that now. That's why we're seeing 80% of Black children growing up in single-parented homes. You know what I mean? We're trying to. My parents, they might be 60 years married now. We stopped counting. Like, at 50 we stopped counting. They might have did 60. They're not telling us anymore. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey, we did it, and we're still doing it. So this might be their 60th anniversary, or it might have been last year. It's based on my birthday. So I'll figure that out later. We'll write more about that as well. But desegregation did a major thing on us, because all it did was delineate us. That's what it did. It broke us up. So once what's his name, Reverend Jesse Jackson passed away, the African American is going away with him. So I mean, there it is in a nutshell. I've talked about this before, and I'll repeat it again. I'm gonna still talk about Isabella Bunfrey. I'm gonna still talk about Reverend Jesse Jackson, how he brought us together as African Americans. That was actually a beautiful thing to do, even if he was a Black Cherokee. You know what I'm saying? Like I was saying last time, he might have some of his elders, or his lineage might have owned African slaves. You know what I mean? Or that was transported over as a part of the slave trade. Like that's what kind of happened. It was a part of the economics back then, and we recently changed it to money, the dollar bill. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm like, reparations. All right, cool. Give me a gold ingot. I'm good. You know what I mean? I'll take one of those gold bricks. Yeah, give me one of those. I'm good. That's all I need, right? And I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? And help me fix these numbers because y'all messed these numbers up. Because what y'all did and what y'all doing. You know what I'm saying? So all I can do is sit on the sideline and wait with my team of lawyers and team of doctors and keep exercising and keep loving God. I mean, there it is in a nutshell. All right. So I rap more than long enough. If y'all still ain't getting it, that's you. You know what I'm saying? Y'all still want to hate. That's you. You know what I'm saying? I'm all about love, God, our Father, all the time. Hip hop, life, love, one love, just to be, just one love, one love, one love. We're happy just to have just one. No other rhymes than that today. God is love, hip hop is life, time. Cherish it, yo. You know what I'm saying? It's more. It's not. Yes, I have. I've had RZA says it, and what's the name? The time, the fourth dimension is time. Like, you know what I mean? It's like time is the illusion, and it's like, nah. The money is the fourth dimension, I say, and it's an illusion. That's what I say. It's not, money is nothing more than a fourth dimensional illusion. It comes and goes. So I hope y'all enjoyed this presentation. I'll talk more about tactics ogre and things like that. I'm gonna start doing more posts of the games, and I'm still working on my radio. That way I can just go and just talk about gaming or stuff like that, as opposed to talking about politics all the time. But I am running for mayor of Philadelphia next year, but I'm not going to be eligible because of my current health condition. I can already see that. But I'm still going to, hey, this is the movement. This is how we do it. So because we got to get in there. We got to start allocating the funds to rebuild FBA. You know what I mean? Harmony, happiness, and peace. We are resting is acronym for war. We are resting is peace. Stand down. All this, no more ML Kings. No more kings is ignorant, yo. Right? We are the fatherhood of God and brotherhood of man. Kind. Yes, we love the sisterhood of women. Are they the motherhood of goddesses? They could be. But they have to stop fighting too. You too, right? They got to stop fighting too. So, sisters, we're going to work it out. Brothers, we're going to work it out. Like Public Enemy said on Fear of the Black Planet, right? I'll holler at y'all later. One. Allah, God is understood. One.